Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your own online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Shopify's there to help you grow. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to the other leading commerce platforms. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/promo. Shopify.com/promo.
Hello and welcome to The Price of Music, the show that looks at the money behind the music industry with me, Steve Lamacq, and Music Ally's Head of Insight, Stuart Dredge. Here's something which I meant to mention last week. You know, I'm always a bit, not exactly sniffy, but indeed, sometimes for comic effect, I'm a little sceptical about certain new areas of music marketing and how artists are setting themselves up in a variety of new virtual worlds. Places like, what's it called? Roblox?
Yep.
There's Roblox. Fortnite. Is that the one that Billie Eilish is currently in? Fortnite?
Yes.
That's right. Well, okay, so this happens. In the past couple of weeks, so my daughter, who's 7, has suddenly fallen in love with a song by Conan Gray. Do you know Conan Gray? Have you come across Conan Gray?
Yeah, I know of him. Yeah,
he's an American singer. I'd never heard of him. He's an American singer. I looked him up. His last album actually went to number 4 in the UK album chart, and he's touring here in November, and he's doing like 2 Manchester Apollos and a Wembley Arena. But so he's quite popular. But do you know how Lizzie Memphis came across him?
Go on.
On the virtual reality children's app Avatar World, where you can get your characters that you've invented and dressed to go and watch him play live. Well, obviously not watch him, but watch the Avatar version of him playing live. So she's all over this song now called Lonely Dancers. So I don't know if you have a spare slice of humble pie, but you can wrap it up and I'll take it away.
It's going to be interesting because I mean she's coming into that peak age for a lot of these things. So it would be fascinating though if it's good in a way. It's good though. Like these things aren't distracting her from music. She discovered someone she loves. That's a good thing, I guess, isn't it? It's different.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is. I mean, it also rather, puts into the shade the hours of work which I have done with a pile of 7-inch singles. And it turns out, no, her new favourite artist comes from Avatar World. I don't know. I wonder how much he got paid. I presume that will be a licensing agreement, I guess, that to give a song to Avatar World. I wonder what the going rate for that is.
Yeah, we should get them in. But it's I don't want to fill you with no hope, but I feel like from 7 onwards is where you lose. Even if you're you with an amazing collection of music, I feel that you're going to start losing control of what she listens to, and you'll be listening. She'll be coming to you saying, "Have you heard this?"
I mean to be fair, I never had much control in the first place, if I'm being honest. But you see, but the weird thing. So this is what's happening in our house. So on the one hand, you have that, where the industry is headed deeper into the possibilities of new tech, and where you can sell your music and find new fans. You've got that on the one side, and then on the other hand, for myself, Jack White's new records. Have you been following this? The Jack White story.
So you got one then? You got a copy?
Yeah. So if you've missed it, so Jack White released a new album last Friday. Well, when I say released, this is what happened. White label copies of Jack's new album were given away to customers at his Third Man record shops. I think there's 3 shops now, a couple in the States, and there's one near Carnaby Street in London. And if you went in there on Friday and bought a record, then the person behind the counter, without making any fuss about it, just stuck an extra piece of vinyl in your bag, it's a white vinyl, 12-inch. It's an album. It has no track listing or anything on it. In fact, the only thing that's written on it are the words "no name." It is. I mean, from what I can gather, it's Jack White's new album handed out for free to people who bought something in his shop. And I know Third Man have yet to officially confirm that it is the next Jack White album, but trust me, I've listened to it. This is definitely Jack White. And interestingly as well, I think Third Man actually posted on Friday that if you did manage to get a copy of this record, do feel free to post tracks digitally online. So on the one hand, this is about as traditional a marketing campaign as you can get, which is giving away free records. But this is, there's a contemporary twist to it, I guess. But as a marketing tool, it's old school, isn't it? Just giving away a record, particularly at a time when, because the alternative, which most other people would probably indulge in, would be to take your marketing budgets and channel it towards social media. You would most labels and a lot of artists would have taken this opportunity to post a clip on YouTube or TikTok and then hope it would go viral. But this is proper old school word of mouth, isn't it? I think.
But also, everyone who got one will go on TikTok and post their own videos. So yeah. Do you know my best thing I like? Yeah. Do you know the thing I liked about this? So there's on Reddit, that the internet community site, there's a Jack White subreddit on there,
right?
And they've got their rules, like the rules of how you behave when you're on this place. And they created a new rule, and it's Rule 3. And the person in charge, put a message saying, "I really encourage you to go and look at Rule 3 in our rules." And when you click on Rule 3, it's basically a link to a Google Drive with the whole album to download. And with a little note saying, "Third Man, if you think this is, if you get cross with this, tell us and we'll take it down." So right. Yeah, that like the word is spreading, and anyone who wants to listen to the music who can get there can get it. So yeah, it's kind of, the album's going to be out there, and everyone who can get it. But some people were lucky. Do you know what? There must be at least one person who was like, "I don't want this random album." Like England fans who left before Jude Bellingham scored that last minute goal in the football, and had to listen to the equaliser from outside. There must be someone who had this and was like, "I don't want this. What is it? No name," and chucked it away. And now they're going, "Oh God."
I mean, I guess it's easy. I was trying to think of the finances of this and whether it's a cheaper campaign, because, it's for Jack, it's not as expensive as this would be as a gambit for other bands, because he owns his own pressing plant. So obviously he's got to manufacture, he needs he's got to manufacture it, but it's less than if he had to go and pay a pressing plant to press however many thousand he pressed. But I'm just wondering whether this sort of guerrilla campaign might actually be cheaper than making some costly videos which you post on Instagram. But it is, if nothing else, it's much truer to the spirit and the ethos of Jack White than, I guess, promoting himself on other channels. It's a good story, and it's the first time I've come across something like this since the Arctic Monkeys. Do you remember the Arctic Monkeys, before they were signed? They used to burn CDs of their demos and leave them on the buses in Sheffield, which I always thought, what a brilliant thing to do. What a great thing to do. As much as their success was partly down to MySpace, a lot of their early traction at those gigs was from people going, "I found this on the bus. It's quite good." Anyway. Right, we should do some news. We'll start with this. We're recording on Tuesday lunchtime, and this popped up in Stuart's inbox about 15 minutes ago, and Stuart's just been trying to digest some new figures from Spotify.
Yeah, do you know, normally, before I do this podcast, when I get Spotify's financial results, I'd be rushing to write it up. And there'd be a thing where we do an email alert, and Music Business Worldwide, another publication, would do an email alert, and always be like, "Can I beat them? Can I be 10 minutes ahead of them?" But now we're recording, so they're busily writing it up, and I'm talking about it. So I've lost the race this time. But But yeah, it's Spotify's quarterly financial results. So this is for the second quarter of this year. And it's kind of mainly good, but with one worrying thing, which we'll get onto. So Spotify now has 626 million monthly active listeners around the world, which is up 14% year on year. So it's still growing quite fast. And they've got 246 million subscribers. So it's people using the paid version of the service, and that's up 12%. But because they're a public company, every quarter they have to tell investment analysts, this is our guidance for next quarter. This is how much we think we'll grow. And that monthly users figure, the 626 million, is actually 5 million below their guidance. So they thought they'd have 5 million more users by this time.
Oh, really?
Which is the sort of thing that can, even if results look good, it can be, if everyone gets spooked by that, that can affect your share price. But then the subscribers are 1 million ahead of their guidance. So they've signed up more paying customers than they thought they would. So it's all kind of swings and roundabouts, I guess. But in terms of the money, their revenues are up 20% to just under 3.2 billion pounds, so 3.8 billion euros. And they made an operating profit of 266 million euros, which is a record. So a lot of the discourse around Spotify is, well, they never turn a profit. They're always losing money, but they've just had a record operating profit. So that's good for them. But the thing that jumped out at me was a little line saying one of the reasons for this record profit is improved music and podcast profitability. And, we talked about that dispute with publishers in the US where Spotify is paying lower royalties because it's now a bundle with audiobooks.
Yeah.
Well, what does paying lower royalties do? That improves your profitability. So investors are like, great, you're more profitable. But I wonder if that little sentence might spark some more angry words in the States about, well, they're becoming more profitable by screwing songwriters, so on. So that could be
Yeah, and I imagine as well, as soon as Spotify make more money, just the fact that they're announcing an operating profit will then lead to people saying that's because you're not sharing the money out in a way that we think you should.
Yeah. So there'll be some follow-on. But the other thing I picked out actually was they published where the people are in the world that subscribe and use them. And it's Europe, North America, Latin America, and then everywhere else, which is everywhere from India to Asia, so on. And now 33% of their users are now in the rest of the world bit outside Europe, North and South America. And that was 30% last year. So you're kind of seeing this growth, like a lot of the growth in users is coming from these places that like Africa, India, Asia, Japan. So places that are kind of newer for Spotify. So that's just a little thing that they're, that historically they started in Europe, went to the US, then went to Latin America. But now it's there's a lot of places that are contributing to the growth. But yeah, so generally good. But I think we may see analysts ask them why their users were less than they expected. And they'll probably have some answers for that later on.
Okay. It does lead us quite nicely, actually, though, into what was going to be our first story, which is research firm Luminate have just published some interesting stats about the music industry, which includes it indicates that streaming is still going up at an incredibly rapid rate.
Yeah, it is. I mean, so Luminate, they're a research firm and they track streams and sales, but they also survey music fans about what they think. And they do the data for the official charts in the US. So they are like one of the biggest sources of data on all things music. And this was their mid-year report. So it kind of covers the first 6 months of this year. And yeah, so they measured, and I've got to be careful about the wording, on-demand audio streams. So this is not YouTube music, and it's not like radio style services where it just plays at you. So it's like Spotify. So, and it's 2.29 trillion on-demand audio streams globally. Wow. Just for Taylor Swift. No, that's everyone.
Just for the 19 different versions of Taylor Swift's recent albums. Yeah.
Yeah. Which we'll get onto it but that's up 15.1% on the same period last year. So yeah, the number of streams is still growing fast. Stuff I picked out, actually coming back to your intro, one of the things that Luminate did a slide on there in their report is Metallica and Fortnite. So Metallica were one of the latest bands to be in Fortnite. And apparently the songs they had in Fortnite increased their streams by more than 20%.
Really?
So that's not in the game. People played the songs in the game and then were like, well, I'm going to go and play it on Apple Music now or Deezer or Spotify. So that was interesting. Like that, there was a very strong link there between they were in this game, but then everyone went to stream elsewhere. Talking of variants, so the top 10 physical albums released in the US so far this year.
Yep.
I was going to make you guess, but I think I told you these figures ahead, so you could seem really good. But so each of them averaged 7 different vinyl versions, variants, 13 CD variants, like 13 different variants of the CD, and 2 cassettes. And that seems bonkers to me. I haven't been aware of people releasing, massive different numbers of CDs, but apparently that's the figure.
Wow. That's a topic, by the way, which we're going to address in a future episode, which we're planning on the charts and what the current chart rules are, and how many different versions of your album you can release before being disqualified from the official UK charts. We'll get to that. While we're on the subject of research, though, and reports, this next one is from Youth Music, who've put out some similarly fascinating stuff about the way young people view music.
Yeah, it's been that kind of week, like just stats week in the music industry. But yeah, so Youth Music, they're a brilliant UK charity, like support all kinds of projects, don't they, across the UK, working with kids and young people and music. And they talked to 2,100 children and young people about their relationship with music. And the thing that really jumped out of me was that 83% had listened to music in the last week, and 68% say they couldn't live without it. And when they're asked what their favorite spare time activity is, making and listening to music is the top. And it's more than sports, more than social media, more than gaming, which is kind of counter what people have worried about in music for the past few years, that all these distractions, people can binge Netflix, they could play Fortnite, they can scroll through TikTok. But at least according to this survey, music is still the top, which is encouraging, I think. And also music can live on all those things. I think like we talked about, music is in Fortnite, music is in Netflix shows. So that's a good thing. It might be the most popular activity, but it's also part of all those other things they're doing.
Yeah, because music has permeated all those other things, video games, whatever you're doing, there is some soundtrack available, I guess, which is interesting. Live music next. This is a specialist subject for mine, and this. Well, I hope this won't affect the workings of this company too much, or the ethos, because this is a company who I've used a fair bit. But London-based ticketing platform Dice is apparently in advanced talks to sell a significant stake in the company. Tell us about this.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. So Dice, I mean, like you say, you use them. For anyone who hasn't aware, it's kind of an app. It's an app, and you can buy tickets on it. You can sell them for face value if you can't go, and it's got streaming style recommendations. So once you've bought a few tickets, it goes, well, you might like this band, this band, this band. It all kind of. So it's been, and it's always been one of the best apps for discovering live music and buying tickets, hasn't it? And now, Bloomberg had this report that it's been attracting to private equity companies, so big investment firms, who want to buy a stake in the business, which is a good sign, really, because Dice, when it started, was like this little startup with an app competing against the likes of Ticketmaster, the big ticketing firms. But this is kind of a sign that in investment circles, they think it could be a player, and they think it's worth investing in.
So this is not that they are in financial difficulty. This is more we're doing very well. Actually, so that's the opposite. We're a good. We look like a good thing to buy, a good option of something which looks successful. So that's why investment people are looking into them.
Yeah, I think when someone is running out of money and needs to sell, the stories are slightly different. Whereas this seems to be very much like they've been approached. People want to buy into it. And it's kind of at this time when we talked about Ticketmaster in the US and Live Nation, where they're facing this Department of Justice investigation that could try to break them up. So there maybe is a moment now where if you're in investment circles, you're going, wow, who else is there who might benefit from this? Is now a good time to invest in some of the rivals who might benefit. But the other thing is with Dice, I think it's interesting, is it's expanding. So it's always been for ticketing, and then it added recommendations. But now it recently launched this extras feature. I don't know if you've seen that yet. So now, as well as selling you a ticket, it will sell you stuff around it. So it will sell you merch. It will sell you VIP upgrades. It will sell you meet and greets. So it's kind of expanding the ways it makes money and the things it offers to people alongside tickets. So it's expanding in that sense. It's been expanding geographically. So it's opening a new market. I think Canada was the last one I wrote about, but it's in more places in the world. And now it could get this investment, which then could help it, in turn, do more and even buy some companies if it wants to, or just spend it all on new features or marketing. So yeah, it seems to be a company on the up, but for now it's in talks. So I say if an announcement comes, then we'll know who and maybe how much. But it seems to be
it's interesting, actually, isn't it? Because there is a point where you get to, and then you can't go any further because you don't have the significant amount of cash in reserve to expand any further, or, as you say, launch new features or go into new territories. So I guess that's why it might be attractive to DICE themselves. But I think everything about DICE, the way it operates, even the gig guide, and as you say, the opportunity to find new music, I think they've done pretty well. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. We'll stay with live music, actually. Now this is a new initiative which sounds good, or it looks good on paper at least. We Out Here Festival has launched Future Foundations, which is an incubator project for emerging promoters.
Yeah, which is something we talked about, haven't we? It passed this idea of the challenges facing you if you're a promoter. But yeah, so We Out Here, I haven't been, but it's a festival co-founded by Giles Peterson, I think, isn't it? And it's been it's a music festival. And yeah, this is like their new incubator project called Future Foundations. So it's almost like the kind you get from music startups, where someone comes in and you give them training and you give them mentorship and support and help them figure out what they're doing. It's supported by the Arts Council, so public money. And I like the explanation of it. Like they said, it's their way of kind of almost paying back. So I think the quote was, grassroots promoters at the foundation of the scene, taking personal and financial risks to platform future talent pipelines, many of which end up on festival stages such as ours. So it's kind of saying that we benefit from the hard work these people do and we want to pay it back. And yeah, so they're going to have, I think the festival's on 15th of August, so it starts on 15th of August, and they're going to host all these people. They're going to host more than 200 leaders from the worlds of grassroots music. So it sounds like an amazing day out for the whole live music industry.
Yeah.
Which is like, if you're a young promoter, what a brilliant, way to kind of meet people and make contacts. And I checked, and this is going out on Wednesday, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think. And applications close on Thursday this week. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday or Thursday morning, if you Google We Out Here Future Foundations, that's where you can find all the information. But there isn't much time. It might be one of those applications where you have to just go bleh, and then hope it makes sense. Hope it makes sense.
Want a website with unmatched power, speed, and control? Try Bluehost Cloud, the new web hosting plan from Bluehost, built for WordPress creators by WordPress experts. With 100% uptime, incredible load times, and 24/7 WordPress priority support, your site will be lightning fast with global reach. And with Bluehost Cloud, your sites can handle surges in traffic no matter how big. Plus, you automatically get daily backups and world-class security. Get started now at Bluehost.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
I've got to say, it's so important, though, to find the promoters of the future, because, they're the ones who build the relationships, by putting on small shows, they gain the experience, they work their way up should they want to, and, could end up working at, as you say, big festivals. And there's a real art and there's a skill, and there's lots to learn, and you will make some mistakes along the way, and you will make some money and lose some money. But we desperately need more young people coming in and putting on gigs, and I think because there is such a risk element, particularly if you're putting on gigs at a grassroots venue. There are times where it will be very tight come the end of the night as to whether you've made any money or not. And I don't want people to be put off or just think, I'm not going to do this because, all the talk around the cost of living crisis and, gigs are struggling and blah, blah, blah. You want more people to come in, and because otherwise, we just won't have the level of experience that the live industry needs come a decade or 20 years time. So anything which encourages people to put on gigs, I think sounds good to me. Finally, for this episode, here's one for the teenagers. Mungo Jerry has employed an anti-piracy firm to protect his music from illegal use. For anyone under a certain age, Mungo Jerry emerged. There were bands who emerged at the start of the 70s. Their biggest hit was their first record. I think the debut single was a song called In the Summertime, which you'll know. If not, ask your folks. But it was number one for 7 weeks, I think, at the start of the 70s. And I imagine probably is at the heart of this story. So they've gone to a firm. I know they have. I think the singer has actually attempted to sue his former management company in the past for unpaid royalties. But now they're setting the attack dogs on people who think who they think owe them money. Is that right?
Well, kind of, or yes, or it's more looking forward, I think. But yeah, so I thought it was a he, Mungo Jerry, but it was a band, wasn't it? But the chap's name is Ray Dorset. Although in the press release it says AKA Mungo Jerry, so I think he may be Mungo Jerry now. It's all very complicated, isn't it? But yeah, he's basically this is a massive song, and it's like you still hear it on the classic radio stations a lot. It's used in ads. It's still one of the most played kind of songs from that era, isn't it? And he reckons he's lost more than 23 million quid in royalties down the years, which is people using it without payment.
23 million pounds is his estimate, is it?
I mean, he hasn't shown his workings, so no. I can't really assess how really. Yeah. But that's like people using it without payment, bootlegs. He said it's been put in compilation albums where he hasn't seen a penny of the money. Like, I think it's been widely sort of exploited in the wrong sense of the word. So he's working this anti-piracy firm called, I call it TCAT, could be TCAT, I suppose, but I like the idea of TCAT more. And it's going to track the song around the world, identify when it's somewhere and it's not the proper version, or if it's being used without permission and payment, and it's going to kind of collect those royalties. So it's not necessarily people doing wrong. It might just be that the royalties aren't being collected for it, but it's also going to track the bad people. And he's actually released a new version of the track on 5th of July. And I think this is the one that's being protected. So I think it kind of is tied in with the re-release. And it is, in a sense, it's a story of an artist taking control, I suppose, isn't it? Like, he said, I've got this problem, all this money's gone missing. And there's a company saying, we can collect that for you, we can help you with that.
Yeah, I've not heard of this firm before. I presume they will then take a cut. I don't know. It's pure speculation. I don't know what their financial agreement would be. But
I think so. I mean, early actually, they did a press release in June where they launched a mobile app that individual artists and labels could use, and it would basically say, "Look, we're going to go off and find your music being used illegally." So they're very much about, we can find where it's being used, and then we can go and get them to pay. And their whole thing is that if they can increase your royalties by 10, 20 or 30%, I mean, it might not be 23 million quid for everyone, but there's a meaningful amount of money that could be going to waste. So, but the thing I like best is we've now put in the summertime on every single listener's internal jukebox for the rest of the day in which they listen. Because it's one of those songs, isn't it? It really works into your head like an earworm.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be lodged in my head for some time. Sometime today, I think. Well, Mungo, we wish Mungo Jerry well in trying to, at least in the future, get the correct remuneration for In the Summertime. I'm just going to keep saying In the Summertime until there's a point where you're never going to shake this song out of your head. Mind you, there'll be people who haven't even heard In the Summertime who will now be going to listen to the track on a streaming service, and the money will then go to Mungo Jerry. So I think we've done our bit, is what I'm saying.
It's one of those songs as well that it's got the potential to suddenly go viral on TikTok randomly because someone young has done a video with it. It's one of those songs that lends itself to all kinds of uses. So I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be funny. There'll be kids booming it out of their bedrooms because they've discovered it on TikTok, but it'll also be people, So yeah, so he's getting paid, which is a good thing. Or at least that's the promise. I guess that's the promise of this.
And that's it. We're out of time for this episode. If you have enjoyed the show, please do subscribe in your podcast app and give us a review and a rating. If you could, it would be very helpful. You can also support the show by becoming a Price of Music fan or super fan for as little as £2 a month. Just go to patreon.com/thepriceofmusic to find out more. And if you have a question which you'd like answered on the program, just email us any financial based music biz question or something to do with the music industry which you don't understand or you'd like an explanation of. We'll do our best to answer it or find someone who can. Email your questions to thepriceofmusicpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back later in the week talking to Kelly Wood from the Musicians Union. Till then, take care, everybody.